Chapter 9. Return to Hastinapur. Pandu spent his time in the forest with his 2 wives, Kunti and Madri, as well as his 5 sons, in relative happiness. One day, however, he forgot the curse of the rishi, and, overcome with desire, he touched the arm of his wife Madri. The rishi's curse took effect, and Pandu instantly fell to his death. Madri, overcome with grief, took her own life in return. This left Kunti as the sole parent of the 5 Pandava brothers. Kunti decided to return the family to the palace of Hastinapur. They were welcomed back, but not all the family were happy to see them. Yudhishthir, the eldest of the Pandavas, was the crown prince. But Dhritarashtra desired this position for his eldest son, Duryodhana. Queen Gandhari's brother Shakuni sowed even more seeds of distrust between the Kauravas, the sons of Dhritarashtra, and the Pandavas, the sons of Pandu. Nevertheless, the families achieved a relative harmony, and Bhishma set about training the princes in their royal duties and skills. A rivalry quickly heated up between Duryodhana and Bhim. Bhim was immensely strong and made a habit of wrestling the Kaurava brothers into submission, often humiliating them in the process. Arjuna, meanwhile, excelled in every field of warfare training. One day, the princes were playing in the field when their ball ended up at the bottom of a well. When Yudhishthir reached into the well, his ring slipped off and also fell in. An archer walking past saw the princes trying to retrieve the items. He collected some reeds from the area and shot the first reed into the ball. He then shot the following reeds into the end of the previous one, eventually forming a long chain which reached the top of the well. He then pulled out the ball. Then he removed an arrow from his quiver, spoke a mantra, and shot the arrow into the well. The arrow returned with the young prince's ring. The princes were overjoyed and urged the archer to return with them to the palace, so that they could introduce him to their granduncle Bhishma. The archer agreed, and behind his eyes there was a look of sadness, as well as a desire for revenge. Chapter 10. Drona. When Bhishma heard of the prince's encounter with a mysterious archer in the woods, he instantly knew that this must be the legendary archer Drona. Drona had been returning from a humiliating meeting with King Draupadi when he had his chance encounter with the Kuru princes. When Drona was a young student, he was friends with Draupadi. He had assisted Draupadi on many occasions, and one day Draupadi promised him that when he became king, he would share his kingdom with Drona. In the years since, Drona had fallen on hard times. He had a wife and a young child, and despite his great skill, he often battled to provide for them. Drona went to Panchala and met with King Draupadi. He reminded Draupadi of his childhood promise. King Draupadi laughed him off. Kings can never be friends with poor wretches. One who is not a king can never have a king for a friend. Draupadi and his court laughed Drona out of the palace. Drona was embarrassed, bitter, and infuriated. On his way home, he came across the princes, trying to get the ball out of the well. After demonstrating his archery skills, the princes eagerly introduced him to Bhishma. Bhishma appointed Drona as the guru for the princes. Drona eagerly accepted the position, and his financial woes had finally come to an end. Drona set about with earnest to train the princes in the art of weapons. Bhim and Duryodhana quickly showed skill at wielding the mace. Yudhishthir was an expert at using the spear. Nakula and Sahadev showed great skill with the sword. But Arjun quickly became Drona's favorite student. One day, Drona set up a wooden bird in a tree and instructed the princes of their task to hit the eye of the bird. Before letting them fire, Drona asked each of the princes what they saw. "I see the bird, the branch, and the tree," said Yudhishthir. "No good," said Drona, and asked him to stand aside. The other princes had similar answers, until he came to Arjun. "Tell me what you see," Drona asked Arjun. "I see only the eye," replied Arjun, and shot the arrow, which hit the eye of the wooden bird, dead on target. When the princes reached a certain level of skill, Drona asked for his Guru Dakshina, the payment given to the Guru by the student. "What is it you desire, master?" asked Arjun. "Bring me King Drupad," replied Drona. The princes set off on their mission, and with their special abilities and the training of Drona, Drupad's guard proved no match for them. They had Drupad at Drona's feet by the next day. "A king, you had said, Drupad, can only have another king as a friend. I desired your friendship, so I strove for a kingdom and made it mine," said Drona. "But now you are no longer king, so I shall give you back half your kingdom. Now, King Drupad, we can remain friends if you wish." Drupad agreed to the conditions with a forced smile on his face. But he would remember this humiliation, and one day Drona and Drupad would find themselves on opposite sides of a great war. Thank you for watching so far. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're new here, please subscribe. This will ensure that more people can find this resource. Click the notification button so that you can be the first to know about new uploads. And please do comment below. I'll do my best to reply to any questions. Thank you.